And recently, I visited my grandma, who us Southern boys call Mama, in Williamson, West Virginia, in the heart of the billion-dollar coal fields. Mama was born on a dirt floor during a time when coal was king and indoor plumbing was a luxury. And frankly, the poverty she endured is something that most of us cannot comprehend. You see, my folks left Southern West Virginia, but for some reason, I can't seem to stay away. I can't help but think that some progressives have thrown in the towel and given up on Appalachia. I don't know if it's because we have a hard time communicating our message to people we feel we don't understand, or perhaps we feel like we don't have to because it's not politically advantageous. But what I do know is that we talk a lot about an anti-poverty agenda, but are we actually talking to people who are poor? And so I can't help but think that we need to reevaluate our approach. Appalachia is a diverse region that stretches across 13 states and is comprised of people of all political stripes, creeds, ethnicities, and religions. And it's where progressivism was born. Whether it was Mother Jones, who mobilized millions of working men, women, and children and led the crusade against child labor, or the United Mine Workers and other labor movements who stared down militarized resistance and demanded workers' rights. Appalachia was ground zero for progressive policy, and Appalachia was ground zero for the war on poverty. So for a long time, a lot of Appalachians were doing okay, until recently. And that's because the industries that elevated them into the middle class have either been eliminated or they're on the chopping block. And we know that the reasons for this are complex. But when you're a coal miner working a 12-hour shift in the mines, you don't have time to learn about the nitty-gritty details of policy fights taking place in Washington. So when somebody bothers to come into your community and talk to you in a language that is understandable and says that your job is going away because of an environmentalist, well, you know what? That's going to resonate. So we need to remember that policy decisions are more than just policy white papers. There's potential real human fallout. So when our rhetoric takes a black and white stance on issues such as coal, what that conveys to a lot of working families that might have underlying progressive tendencies is that progressives want to take away my job. And I would argue it is not progressive to take away a job from someone trying to feed their child, especially without providing them with an immediate alternative. But there are a couple things that we can do as progressives to reclaim Appalachia. One, let's fight back against the stereotypes, the ones that say that Appalachians are dumb redneck hicks who are undeserving of our attention. These stereotypes are ugly, they are not funny, and they are simply not true. Next, the real game changer for Appalachia is expanding rural broadband access and diversifying the economy. And we know this. So as innovators and disruptors, we should be leading that charge. And finally, let's go into these communities and actually listen. Let's learn. And let's incorporate their needs into our organizing efforts. Let's give them the agency they need to reclaim their status as leaders within their own communities. Look, a lot of Appalachians are angry. They want somebody or something to flip over the table and disrupt a rigged political system. And many are participating in the political process for the first time, except they're not participating with us. Rather, many feel empowered by a disingenuous billionaire running for president because they feel he is listening. And so, my people are hurting. It's not too late. I ask, where do they fit into your agenda? Where do they fit into our movement? If we do what is right, if we listen, then we can reclaim Appalachia. Because Appalachia is not lost. Appalachia is worth fighting for. Thank you.